Welcome back. Breakfast Central continues our final lap. It's time to find out what the big stories are saying, especially on the front pages of the newspapers. Our guest is actually the publisher, of course, of the newspaper, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, who is solidly right here in the studios like a rock, ready and steady.
To you, sir. Always
Yes,
a pleasure
yes.
to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Distinguished high table of ours.
Okay. The pleasure is mine, Joe. How are
Welcome. Well, we're doing great. We're doing great. Olive is also here. But let's take a look at our papers. We'll go straight into it because we have a lot to really discuss. I know you've not touched on some of the latest stories. So our very first paper, let's look at the Punch, which happens to be the first paper we're looking at. Fire 2027. Firestorm as APC coalition battle for Northern ADC leaders. We hear that ADC accuses federal government of backroom deals with Northern leaders. APC fumes. That's what's going on now. We also have more stories as well. Let's take a look at this one. 20 states at risk despite 620 billion naira intervention. NIMET forecasts flooding in Lagos, Edo, Benue, 17 others in July.
But Joe, NIMET said, yes.
States face scrutiny over 620 billion naira ecological fund. So where is the money?
Are they really using this ecological fund? Another thing, I don't know if scientifically you can hold them to it. Olive, NIMET said we're going to experience 5 straight days of rain, starting from yesterday. As at 9:15 this morning, we have not witnessed it.
It's okay. We'll get there. Let's focus on the first story. I'd like our guests to actually jump in on the firestorm as APC coalition battle for Northern ADC leaders. First of all, I'd like you to give us a complete look into this ADC, APC back and forth fight ahead of the 2027 elections.
Well, it is nothing unusual, if you ask me. It is to be expected. Before what happened last week, it was as if APC was going to have an easy ride. It was as if we are almost at the cusp of being a one-party state. Despite everything, you see opposition political leaders, particularly some governors on the platform of the PDP, defecting to the APC. Members of the National Assembly defecting to the APC. So much so that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had to, at a stage, boast when they adopted him, when APC adopted him as their sole candidate, as it should be for the 2027 elections. He was almost boasting that there is no longer opposition in the country. And then, out of the blues, in the sense that not many people expected that the opposition leaders would come together as they did last week. Because and we said it on this platform, there were 3 tendencies in the opposition camp before last week. There were those who, led by former governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, who wanted the opposition leaders to join the Social Democratic Party. Then there were those who wanted the ADC as a platform to adopt. And there was also a group within the opposition camp that wanted the registration of a new political party altogether. It's as if they also found out that INEC was not prepared to register any new political party. INEC was going to sabotage that move. So what was the choice left for them? Either go into SDP. Some people have also said, and I think it is right, that the SDP is the default party of the president. And going into that, walking into that trap will be so unimaginative, we'll be so naive that the consequences would have been that the opposition would have come dead on arrival. So they chose for the ADC. And you know, the sheer number of leaders from across board, APC, from APC, you find an 80-something-year-old former chairman of APC, Chief John Oyego, former governor of Edo State, being part of the coalition that went into ADC. You find former Senate President David Mark, and of course, not talk of Atiku, Nasiru El-Rufai, leaving SDP now to also come into ADC. And then former Minister of Transportation, Amechi. But most of all, Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, and his running mate coming into the fold. He jolted the government, as he should. And of course, that's why you are seeing all these brick bars, everybody trying to. If you ask me, I would say that what the government has done in the last how many days is more like a group that is jittery. Because that...
but their statements don't sound like that. They call them internally displaced politicians. They were dismissive in their reactions. On the surface, they don't look like they're paying them any attention.
On the surface, yes. But those things are acts of desperation. What do you do? In my place, they say when a rat escapes from a little boy and chasing it, he says, "Anna, go away. You are pardon my this, and you are a shit rat." So they didn't expect this. They didn't expect the kind of unity that was exhibited on that day. So all they have to say is that they are desperados, they are this, they are those who hate the president. It didn't be so. And of course, politics is not a game of love. In any case, when the legacy parties came together in 2014 to form the APC, did they love President Jonathan? So it is neither here nor there. It is almost infantile to talk about hating President Tinubu. These are people who are saying, we have, what Nigerians expect from them is to know what vision, the agenda they have, and how that agenda is different from what President Bola Tinubu and the APC is presenting to them now. So if the votes of the people will count in 2027, it is now left for the people to decide whether to still go for APC, having seen what they have done in the last 4 years under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then, or look the other way and say, okay, these other people, these are the promises you've made, and based on the track record of what we know about one or two people, then it might be a different thing altogether. So I am happy that at last the government, look, then what the reaction of the government is showing, that at least acknowledging that there is an opposition out there now that they can take serious, that there is an opposition out there now that could give them a good run for their money come 2027. So it's a good thing.
Let's look at another story on the front page of the Punch newspapers. ASU branches suspend lectures over delayed June salaries. Today is just the 8th of July. I know, I mean, I say this with all sense of responsibility, but is it not too early? You give a warning and maybe there's some technical glitch, because I don't understand why people should work for 30 days and the barest minimum you could do is to pay them their salaries. But is it too early for ASU to take industrial action and down tools at this stage?
I don't know what this is all about, but I think there must be more to it than meets the eye. Like you said, today is 8th. So if days in arrears is not enough, in my own thinking, to say, to take a drastic action of saying down tools, don't go to work, unless there are some underlying issues. But if it is only because of the June salary, I think it is a little bit hasty. Are there no other forms of
alternative dispute resolution? Yeah.
Exactly. Has also communicated to the government, and the government said it's not going to pay. What are the reasons for late payment of the June salary? It would have been a different thing if they are saying they have not been paid in the last 2, 3, 4 months, but that it is 8 days in arrears. I don't think it's enough, because look, for each time you down tools, there are consequences for the students, for the university environment, and even for the country. When students are supposed to be in school and you automatically shut down teaching and, of course, learning, I think it has a whole lot of implications. But like I said, unless there are other underlying issues they have not told us, but if it is that there are, yes, at the end of the month, a worker deserves to earn his pay. And for the government to where officials are flaunting Rolls Royce and all that, I think it is unethical. It's almost inhuman not to pay lecturers, Nigerian lecturers, even the patronage sum.
Even the Bible says it.
Even the patronage sum
of his wages.
that they are being paid. But whether it is enough that in 8 days, because it has not been paid to down tools, I am saying it might be an overreaction.
Okay. I'm also concerned about our friends in St. Lucia that have been offered scholarships. If they're watching this now, they'll be saying, they've down tools or they're on strike. They've not paid their lecturers. Maybe I should not take this scholarship to Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. Anyway, let's take a look at the paper very quickly. Vanguard newspapers. Yeah. The headline says 2027 presidency plotting to destabilize us. ADC alleges they've ringed the alarm. The writer says claims top government officials summoned ex-party chairman to secret meeting, aggrieved ADC members, drag Mark Argbesora and others to court. I mean, how old is this this coalition that they're already talking about court cases? Power blocks may crash ADC. Almost warns. Babachi Lawal dumps APC, ex-Kaduna PDP chair joins ADC. PDP Board of Trustee member Waziri joins ADC. What do you make of this new plot? And they will say it's not a new thing for the APC, the ruling party, to be accused of destabilizing other parties when they don't put their homes in order. It's become, like Mr. President said, a convenient boogeyman. So what do you make of this? Is there any...
It is not a surprise, and it shouldn't surprise any discerning Nigerian political observer. I would have been surprised if the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not doing everything within its powers to ensure that this ADC does not hit the ground running. But look, let's be fair, it didn't start today. Right all through the history of this fourth republic, starting right from 1999 when President Olusegun Obasanjo became president. All he did was to destabilize the other political parties, AMPP,
Alliance for
Democracy,
yeah.
and all that. So much so that they got to a stage, again, if not for this same Bola Ahmed Tinubu that persevered and left AD to form AC, then the opposition would have collapsed completely. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC, they know what they are doing. So if the coalition, the ADC, is saying that the government is doing everything to stabilize them, I believe them. But the truth is that it behoves the opposition leaders, because they should know better. They should know that there is no way they will come out the way they came out smoking without a response now from the government. And the response now from the government will not be to cuddle them. It won't be to it will be to embrace them. The government, the response of a government that is seeing its hold on power slipping away, as it were, if they do nothing, will be to destroy. Of course, the next battle will be in court. Some elements in the ADC have gone to court. We will see the role the judiciary will play at the end of the day. But it will be a long drawn battle. It will be a long drawn battle.
Could that be the reason why they're also in registration, pushing for the registration of ADA? So just in case.
That was the way they ought to have gone. But like I said earlier, I think they had the inkling that the Mahmoud Yakubu-led INEC may not be in a mood to register.
I saw what you did there.
Mahmoud will not be in the mood.
I
Come
saw
on.
what you did there.
May not be in the mood to register a new political party. So their best choice was to collapse into an existing political party. But the Katikus, who was the presidential candidate of ADC in 2023,
Yes.
of course has his own agenda. You know, one bad thing that has happened in this political dispensation is that we have a situation where you don't even know who actually is running for election. You don't know who is being sponsored by the government in power to destabilize the opposition, to fragment the opposition. I don't want to believe that the presidential candidate of the ADC in 2023, Dumebi or what?
Dumebi Kachuku.
Kachuku. I may be wrong, but I don't think that he ran on his own steam. It is something that has been going on in Lagos since whenever. Every election year, you see somebody out of the blue will join the PDP. Mostly people from the opposition party or the ruling party in the state, purporting to have broken from the party, and at the end of the day, it turns out that they were sponsored to come and destabilize the PDP. And it just happened in the last election where the man who came and took the ticket of the PDP has gone back to the APC. So those are the things you see even at federal level. It got to a stage when, I think it was under Obasanjo, when Chief Femi went to court, Obasanjo didn't want more political parties. But when Chief Gani Femi went to court to say that it is the right of the people to form political parties, the government of the day now helped them to form as many political parties as possible. Most of the political parties that were formed then were sponsored by the government of the PDP. So that is the thing that is going on. I don't see why Kachukwu should go to court over what? It is a plot to destabilize ADC, and it does not go beyond the government of the day. But like I said earlier, it behoves the people to say enough is enough. It behoves the people to say, no, we won't take this. Because without a virile opposition, this country will go nowhere. We need to have an alternative that we say, okay, if this is the vision of the government in power and we feel it is not working for the people, we could go the other way. But where it is that whether you like it or not, willy-nilly, this government must be in power because there's nobody to oppose it, then we are headed to not only a full-blown dictatorship, to a state that is failing on all fours.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I want us to take another story. This time I want us to look at the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch, the bottom left, U.S. Embassy begins screening Nigerian students' social media accounts. I think that that's an important story to take. Last week, we shared the story of a young businesswoman who went for a trade fair in America and wasn't allowed to go beyond the airport. Turns out, according to the reports, that they checked her social media account and saw that she was going for the exhibition. She had a B1, B2 visa, but she had done a video telling all her customers to come there. So we don't quite know what exactly happened. But many of the speculations are that the visa maybe should not have allowed her to trade. But the directive came some weeks back that everyone should open their social media. What does this mean now for us?
What it means for us is that Nigerians, in fact, in spite of what the U.S. government is doing, Nigerians should be mindful of what they do or do not do on the social media. The way we use social media is injurious to us as people. And you know, the internet does not forget.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, some of the things people do on social media, some of the things they say, you ask yourself, what is this all about? And you know, at a time of heightened insecurity, global insecurity, if you are mindful of some of the things in the fight against terrorism in the U.S., now, for instance, the first thing, when a crime is committed and the suspect is identified, the first thing they do is to go into his social media activities and find out what he's been doing. And almost 99.9% of the time, you find out that there is something in the social media that actually betrays the
or motivation for the action.
Accused. So Nigerians should be careful. Our people are almost abusing the social media, and that should not be so. The social media has its own advantages. It has revolutionized the way things are done, the way news is produced and consumed. It has also revolutionized the way businesses are conducted. There are people who are multimillionaires today simply because of the social media. But it also has its own downside. and people should be very, very careful. It is also good that this story is coming out. You don't need to want to travel to the US for you to be mindful.
To be a responsible social media user.
To be a responsible social media.
But I think another concern is what are they looking for?
They said it's for national security.
Well, so is it 100% national security? Is there a possibility that if you shared an opinion and maybe an anti-government
somebody shared a meme of the Vice President J.D. Vance as a baby, you know, just funny video. The Norwegian citizen was already in the US. They deported him.
Exactly. So for a country that is a free country, you know, that is they're always very pro-freedom, pro-rights, pro-democracy.
A lot of things, Olive, a lot of things changed under Donald Trump. It will be erroneous for anybody to think that America of today is the America of yesterday. It is not. Donald Trump, I'm sorry to say, but he's done everything to tell you he's not a Democrat. He's done everything to tell you that he does not believe in the fundamental freedoms that have driven America so far. In fact, those freedoms are receding under him. Donald Trump is a dictator, through and through.
Yes, so, and just to follow up on what you said, sorry to cut in short, because I want to bring it back home. And the front page of the Vanguard says Nigeria's export drive in danger as Trump plans 10% tariff against BRICS. Yeah. After President Tinubu left St. Lucia, he hopped onto the next destination, Brazil, and they're meeting there. Now he's threatening us with 10% extra tariff, and we know we export, we do business with the United States. He says any country aligning themselves with anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged. So we're in a problem here.
Trump is threatening everybody.
This is gangster diplomacy, as some have called it.
Trump is threatening the entire world. So, and I don't think his policies are auguring well, even for the United States. As for the entire world, it is almost that the man has almost destabilized the world in terms of trade, in terms of everything that kept the world together. Donald Trump has made nonsense of the global order that was instituted after the Second World War. Let us see how far he can go. But the truth of the matter is that Nigerians, they need to be careful. Like I said earlier, even if you don't want to travel to the US, the way we use the social media, I think needs to be redefined. Whatever it is that Trump is looking for, I'm not necessarily, you may not have committed any crime. I'm sure that if what I'm saying now goes into the social media and the man sees it, he may say,
you were critical.
Never come to America.
Let him go to China.
So it is as bad as that. But at the end of the day, he may also find out that the world does not need America as much as he thinks that without America,
it's not heaven.
The entire world will collapse. People are moving on.
We live in a multipolar world now.
People are moving on. The Chinese are moving on. The
Brazilian, Russians, Indians, China.
Nations are moving on in spite of America.
Okay.
Their economies are still growing in spite of the so-called tariff. And of course, you find out that he is even stuck on the issue of the tariff. And that's why he continues now postponing.
Okay. We're almost due for another night.
Exactly.
He will move it forward again.
Anyway.
I think he has already done that. He says now it is going to be in August.